Recorded ancient history is filled with the exploits of great men, mostly kings, warriors, military leaders, and the like. This makes sense, as many of the monuments and documents that we have were, if not written, at least commissioned by them. In these official inscriptions and texts, we rarely hear of the role of women and the influence that they held within their societies. One exception, though, is a woman known as Enheduanna, the daughter of the powerful Sargon of Akkad, founder and arguably the most powerful king of the Akkadian Empire. If you have knowledge of the historical Sargon, then you know that he was a larger-than-life figure. There is no known person who up until his time had conquered so much territory and ruled over so many people, and for this, historians generally credit him with ruling over the world's first real empire. It's one thing to conquer a territory, but something totally different to govern its population effectively, especially when that population speaks a different language and practices different traditions. So how can one govern effectively? One way is through the various religious institutions within a society, and that's essentially what Sargon did. The majority Sumerian population that he now ruled over worshipped many gods and goddesses. One of the more popular ones was Nanna, god of the moon, and patron deity of the important city of Ur. During his reign, Sargon appointed his daughter Enheduanna to be the high priestess of Nanna, and sent her to the god's great temple in Ur. This was no small appointment. After Enlil's great temple, the Ikor in the holy city of Nippur, Nanna's sanctuary at Ur was arguably the most holy place for Sumerians. So back to the politics of the region. Sargon and his main supporters were Akkadian speakers, which was an ancient Semitic language with similarities to modern Arabic and Hebrew. This was in contrast to Sumerian, which was the language that the large majority of his empire, especially in the south, spoke as their native language. What also didn't help was that Sargon made Akkadian the official language of the administration within the empire. For that and other reasons, many Sumerians, who overall were a very proud people, resented the Akkadian regime. It's in such an environment that Sargon's daughter, Enheduanna, ventured south to the city of Ur to become the high priestess to the god Nanna. Once there, she oversaw the rituals dedicated to Nanna, supervised the extensive temple complex and its large endowment, and probably also acted as her father's representative in the city. It was during her tenure as high priestess that she began writing religious poetry and hymns to various deities. At least, she's believed to have. There are a good number of scholars who believe that perhaps she wasn't the actual author of many of, or even any of the works attributed to her. Assuming that she did indeed compose the writings that are attributed to her, Enheduanna is the first author in history who's named. Arguably after the royal family, priests were the most powerful people in Sumerian society. Temples controlled nearly everything, from the best and most fertile lands surrounding a city to the distribution of grain, collecting certain taxes, and many other functions within society. In theory, the king of a city could only rule with the consent of the priests, which in most cases was given on the condition that the ruler did not interfere in religious affairs. While there had been many priestesses in Sumerian and Greater Mesopotamian society, they didn't hold the same stature or couldn't rise up to the same level of power as the priests. However, Enheduanna was the emperor's daughter. No daughter of Sargon took orders from any priest. Thus, she controlled, on behalf of her father, Ur's temple network and the wealth that it possessed. So one can see how Enheduanna, and at least her appointment as high priestess, was not without controversy. In the words of scholar Benjamin Foster, and I quote, "Some read the Princess Priestess Enheduanna's work as part of a heavy-handed effort to integrate the Akkadian with the Sumerian pantheons, thereby seeking to force religious unity on the realm. Some see resentment of an alleged promulgation of a comprehensive royal theology, or anger at the Akkadian ruler's assumption of the right to appoint high priestesses and other key cultic personnel." Due to their unpopularity, revolts were common, especially in cities such as Ur. Interestingly enough, these revolts were probably the inspiration for some of Enheduanna's most famous poetry. In one of them, there's an incident where a usurper named Lugal-Ani drives her out from the temple of Nanna. While the details aren't given, it's assumed by many that this probably occurred during one of the many periods of unrest in Ur, specifically the Great Revolt during the reign of Naram-Sin. In the poem, which is called The Exaltation of Inanna, Enheduanna appeals to Nanna, but her cries are unanswered. However, Inanna, also known as Ishtar, does answer her plea and ultimately chases Lugal-Ani out of the temple and Ur itself. Indeed, historical records state that there was a Lugal-Ani in Ur who, along with Amarjirid of Uruk and Epur Kish of the city of Kish, took a leading part in the Great Revolt against Naram-Sin, Sargon's grandson and Enheduanna's nephew. For more details on that, check out the video on Naram-Sin. Anyway, the rebellion was eventually crushed and Enheduanna reinstalled as High Priestess of Nanna's sanctuary in Ur. However, she doesn't credit Nanna with her reinstatement, but Ishtar. In fact, she seems quite bitter about the whole affair. Nanna did not protect her and allowed her to go into exile. Nanna was the patron god of the city that had just rebelled. And Nanna's supporters in Ur were defeated by Akkadian forces who believed that they were protected by Ishtar, the goddess who her father Sargon had devoted his life to and had made his personal patron deity. Thus, it makes sense that Enheduanna would reorient her devotion from Nanna to Ishtar. This would also help to unlock her creative genius. In the Exaltation of Inanna, one of her more famous and probably longer poems, Enheduanna passionately explains these events and their impact on her. I'll read to you some of the passages of this poem that kind of describe the events we just talked about. And I quote, "Lady of perfect divine presence, gleaming light, righteous woman clothed in splendor, priestess of heaven, you have carried divine presence, you have hung it from your hand. You have gathered divine presence, you have brought it to your chest. Like a dragon, you have delivered poison to foreign lands." Another section of praise from the poem reads as such. "Know that you are magnificent as the heavens. Know that you are as vast as the earth. Know that you destroy the rebel land. Know that you call out to the foreign land. Know that you dash heads. Know that you eat corpses like a dog. Know that your eyes are furious. Know that you raise your furious eyes. Know that your eyes are ablaze. Know that you are strong and immovable. Know that you stand defiant. My lady, he has made you great, and you are his most magnificent. My lady, beloved by An, I will speak of your raging." Now the next lines reference her isolation and despair after being cast out from her position as High Priestess. She vividly describes her fall from grace. "I am Enheduanna. I carried the basket and sang the work song. Funeral offerings were brought as if I never lived there. I approached the sun, but the sun burned me. I approached the shade, but the wind enveloped me. My mouth of honey became a mouth of phlegm. My ability to ameliorate situations turned to dust." Now here are some lines in reference to Lugal-Ani. "He stood defiantly and ran me out of the temple. He made me fly like a swallow from a window. I used up all of my vitality. He made me walk through the thorns growing in the mountains. He deprived me of the rightful crown of the priestess. He gave me a knife and dagger and said, 'These are appropriate accessories for you.'" Anyway, so these are just a few of the lines from one of her more famous works. There are actually many others like it. Many of these were later recited by future priests, priestesses, and even used by scribes when learning how to write. In fact, many of the copies that archaeologists have uncovered were used for that very reason. So my friends, that's a quick look at the life of Enheduanna. Though not as famous as her father Sargon, she had her own impact on ancient Mesopotamia. As always, thanks so much for stopping by the channel. I really appreciate it, and I really hope you learned something. If you did, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Thanks again, and I'll catch you next time.